Well, we have Netflix maybe reported to be the buyer for the Warner Brothers Discovery. What's going to happen to AEW if it gets sold? The reports say that Netflix and other media giants are looking to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery and AEW's broadcast partner for Dynamite in Collision and Rampage. A sale, Rampage is no longer a show, but we got that in there anyway. A sale could completely change or even end AEW's TV deal depending on who takes over. So, if Warner Brothers Discovery changes hands and the new owner doesn't care about wrestling, does AEW's entire existence on TBS and TNT totally suddenly become optional?
Well, I feel like somewhere in WWE's contract, it probably states that Netflix cannot have another wrestling show like to their stuff, at least like a live one on their stuff. I mean,
I'm sure.
maybe I could be wrong, but there's no way that Netflix would keep them around. They would 100% boot them from their stuff.
I mean, I imagine there would be some sort of no compete, not necessarily no compete, but for lack of a better term.
It's a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
huge one. You can't do stuff like that. Imagine having the NFL and the Canadian Football League on there or whatever. Or maybe even the NFL and the NBA. You couldn't have both those on the same thing.
It's true. Could this make AEW be forced into a worse TV deal with a less favorable time slot or move to like a streaming only type of service? Would this kill its momentum or at least severely hamper it, you think?
I think if they switch to anything new, wrestling fans to some extent would follow, but they would definitely lose at least 25% of their audience. That's a number I just made up. We learned that from some guy we were talking about earlier, but
Did you have that behind a $16 paywall?
17. But
Oh
yeah,
shit.
I'm more expensive. That's how you know it's better. But
Yep.
but yeah, it depends on where they go. I think right off the bat they would end up on YouTube or Honor Club, something like that. But if they came up with something very quickly, it'd probably be I don't know Tubi. But they're with NXT, right?
Yep.
So they can't even do that. Where could they go? It's not going to be Hulu. I'm trying to think. Like there has to be something out there that they could go on. I guess Paramount, since they wouldn't end up with Warner Brothers Discovery.
UFC, TKO.
Oh
Nope.
man, they're like locked out of like almost everything. I feel like the last time we were going over this, there was one streaming platform that stuck out. Peacock.
Yep. Did they? Well, no, because they
Oh
still get
no, you're
6
right.
WWE events a year.
Yeah. Holy crap. I'm trying to go over all of them in my
Rat
head.
'em.
Yeah, Kratom Carl. That's a really cool guy. But either way, I feel like they're screwed. But maybe Netflix isn't going to get them. But somebody's going to get them. And depending if they're working with WWE, it could really hamper them. We were talking the other day, and we always talk about this to some extent. Ratings do matter. And then we were reading an article the other day about old Dave's buddy, Brian Alvarez, talking about how ratings do matter. If their ratings aren't good enough for whoever buys this, and they are going to get bought, it will happen. Whoever buys this, if they don't like it, if it's not a good enough deal, they're going to get them out of there, I hope that doesn't happen. I don't think anybody's going to pay them as much money as they're getting right now. I'm not a business expert, but it just makes me wonder here. Is there any way that Tony Khan could have seen all this coming? Did you think he, like, when he was figuring this deal out, that they told him, like, hey, we might be for sale here down the future? You think they would have to divulge that information, right?
I think that they don't have to tell that at all.
Really?
Yep.
So you don't think that in the end that this makes this AEW's fault for bad negotiation or an overdependency on Warner Bros. Discovery? Or is this just bad timing?
I think it's probably a little bit more of bad timing. I don't think that necessarily many people could have foresaw this even coming. As much as I usually like to poo poo on AEW, I mean, this is just one of those. giant corporate conglomerate things that happen from time to time, and sometimes, and a lot of the time, unless you're somebody that is in the corporate conglomerate world, you don't know till it's happening. And even if you own a wrestling company that's on TV, you know, you don't know till it's happening. Look at Nitro. They didn't know till it was happening.
That's a very good point. I got one more for you, though. One big one. How many people stick around if their contracts run out and they don't have a major television platform?
Well, probably not many. I don't know. Is Tony going to write him the same checks that he's writing him now? Because, I mean,
Daddy's going to
there's a lot
stop.
of zeros being thrown around.
Daddy's going to
And,
stop the paychecks at some point.
probably. But I feel like they'll end up on TV or straight. They will land somewhere. There are options out there. They're not the greatest. WWE and TKO has a lot of shit locked down now,
They do.
but they'll land on their feet. I feel.
Hopefully, because man, if they're not around, that's really going to change the wrestling business in probably a pretty negative way. And not
Yeah,
even them
gotta
not
have
being
something.
around, just that they don't have a TV platform. It's not going to be good for them, or a major streaming deal. But yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
you got anything else you want to add to that?
Nah, we'll just. This isn't just wrestling business as usual. This could be the moment that determines whether AEW survives as a mainstream competitor or fades into streaming irrelevance. The networks might change. The owner might change. Everything could shift. And if AEW doesn't act, their next move might be somebody else's call.
It very well could be. If you like this clip, we got a lot more exclusively on the OverMark Podcast. Full episodes twice every week and several videos weekly. Make sure to check it out.